He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. What is up, everyone, and welcome to another special edition of The Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and this is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. And as you can see by the special intro, this was an amazing night last night at Extreme Rules, and I just want to come here and just give my thoughts and quick commentary about it. And due to the circumstances and the fact that it is October, I'm gonna just do this whole darn thing in the dark, where you can see me, of course, but I've decided to do this whole review in darkness and to dress in black. I'm loving this. I'm loving just doing this. I love this vibe. It's awesome. For somebody who grew up a church boy, I like doing this kind of stuff. But in any event, let's get started with the review. First and foremost, speaking of darkness and dark times, one of the tough enough contestants has unfortunately passed away at age 30. And let me just say, thoughts and prayers to the family. I think it's really unfortunate that we're losing people at such a young age. It's just crazy. But in any event, let's get started with tonight's review of our last night's review of Extreme Rules. We opened up the show with the Brawling Brutes defeating Imperium in a what you call that match, because Drew and Sheamus had that match. But in any event, great 6-man tag match. Really enjoyed that. The second match we have was Liv versus Ronda Rousey. And obviously, Liv Morgan was the more popular one tonight. And Rousey, both of them are technically baby faces. Both of them are technically fan favorites. But tonight, I guess it's because we're on the East Coast and we're not too far from New Jersey. Liv was the favorite to retain, and everyone was rooting for Liv, but Rousey really owned most of the match. And can I just ask for a second, what is so effective about um, fire extinguishers? What is that supposed to do? Is that supposed to blind people? Because I don't think it hurts. But in any event, I tell you what does hurt, that black belt and the bat that Rousey used. Rousey was the first to use the bat that Liv brought to the ring. However, Liv was pretty competitive in her own right. She used what Corey Graves called the Van Morganator, which is that recoil with the chair and a senton through the table. Somehow Rousey kicked out of that. But what was very interesting, if you pay close attention, you will notice that whatever the name of that move was that Rousey had put Liv in, Liv was smiling as she was fading away, which is, most people are wondering, is she going to go heel or what's going to happen? But I got a feeling things are about to get real interesting and more dark, because as one of the news journalists, thoughts and prayers to Kayla, Paul Heyman's crush, as she's under the weather, so she couldn't be there last night. However, one of the journalists, besides Kathy Kelly, News at 11, who is back, by the way, that's awesome, saw Liv Morgan backstage after the match, and Liv appears to be in a very dark place. This is getting interesting. Speaking of dark people, let's get on to number 3, and Rousey is still the champion. It's back to being SmackDown Women's Champion. At the next match, we have Karrion Kross versus Drew McIntyre. And Kross had his mind games going on because he didn't want to put the strap on at first. And so we got a little piece of Peter Griffin versus the Chicken as Drew and Karrion Kross fought in the crowd. Then they got in the ring, and Drew finally put it on by force. However, due to some interference from latex wearing Scarlett, Cross would eventually dominate most of the match. And just when Drew was about to get in again and get some momentum, Scarlett stood in the way. Now, if this were the Attitude Era, things would look a lot different, Scarlett. I'm just saying. But because of that, Scarlett was able to use pepper spray and Cross went in for the victory. Once again, they keep one up in Drew. But like I said, be much different if this were the Attitude Era. Moving on to number 4, we have the first ever single women's ladder match. I really enjoyed that one. And speaking of Paul liking Kayla, Bailey likes Cole because every single chance she gets, she taunts the man for no reason. But Bailey likes Michael Cole. Either Bailey likes Cole or Bailey wants some match with Michael Cole at next year's WrestleMania. But tonight we saw an incredible match in a women's ladder match, the first ever women's ladder match with Bianca versus Bailey. And both of them went for ladders early. Bailey got a ladder and Bianca went for the ladder. Note to self, Bianca likes it the biggest. So I hope some of y'all will get that. Some of y'all don't. For those of you who are innocent, stay innocent. I can remember when I was innocent. But in any event, Bianca likes it biggest. But in any event, both of the women used the ladder to their advantage. One of the extreme moments that took place was when Bailey went for an elbow onto Bianca on the ladder. Just when Bianca was about to go for the win, of course, other members of Damage Control come out, and we saw Bianca do the double KOD to both of them. And while they were attacking her, I'm thinking to myself, this would be a really good time for Sasha Banks and Naomi to show up. It would be a really awesome time. The crowd would totally pop. But they're doing well as models, so I have no complaints. Go be happy. Do what makes you happy. But in any event, Bianca doesn't need Sasha or Naomi. She fought them off all by themselves. And after giving a double KOD to the evil Sky and Kai, indeed, she gave a KOD to Bailey on the ladder and went for the victory and still the women's champion, the EST of WWE, Bianca Belair. Now, even though she didn't need help, it would be nice to see Damage Control face off against the alliance of Bianca, Sasha Banks, and Naomi. That would be cool. Let me know what you think. This next match had a lot of emotion. This match really made me feel. Even when as a kid, you really believed in what you saw. If you grew up like me, you weren't trying to hear anybody say the F word about wrestling or WWE. You did not care. You believed in what you saw. So when people did something bad, you booed the crap out of them. And when they did good, you loved them for it. This match had me feeling like there is no social media. No one's telling you it's scripted or nothing like that. This match right here made me feel. Edge versus Finn Balor. That pulled my emotions out. Not literally tear eyes, but that match really had me into it emotionally. I was emotionally invested. We had Edge versus Finn Balor. What the heck is Finn wearing on his face? In any event, great match. What was funny was earlier on in the match, Edge told the ref to get that out of my face. That was funny. It's kind of like when Korn did Good God, which I think inspired that instrumental on the first ever WWF SmackDown game. But you remember on the Korn song Good God, and Korn was like, won't you get the heck out of my face? No. And And then he gets angrier later and says, "Won't you get the heck out of my face now?" So with that, good God by Corn, Edge wants the mic out of his face. They fought in the crowd like Peter and the chicken. They didn't fight everywhere, but they fought in the crowd. That was fun. Edge paying homage to Philadelphia's team. I believe they're called the Flyers, the hockey team. Paying homage to them by putting the cross face on. Finn didn't quit. They fought in the crowds. Then they came back into the ring, and Edge pulled out some classic moves with his half sharpshooter that he calls the educator. I believe that's what he calls it. There was a moment during the match where Cole called Damian Priest an idiot. Cole, by the way, Cole was really into this match. And if you didn't feel this match by yourself, Michael Cole was kind of like, you remember when JR would sell how much of a jerk Triple H was? Cole really sold how much of a heel Judgment Day was tonight. And he called Priest an idiot. That was funny. And when the numbers game caught up to Edge and he got cuffed, Rey Mysterio came out to fight him, and then Dominic turned on him. This is worse than 50 Cent's son saying that the money that he gets is not enough. Spoiled brat. But in any event, this Dominic attacked his father, I'm sorry. Michael Cole went off. He was like, "What the heck are you doing, kid? What the heck is the matter with you?" Somebody give Michael Cole an extra pay because he did good tonight. Also, after Ray was put down, Edge still wouldn't quit. Beth Phoenix comes out and starts swinging, and Dominic got spared, by the way, but not by Edge, because when Beth finally uncuffed Edge, I was thinking to myself, now, if I'm Beth, I'd probably suggest to Beth to keep the handcuffs so y'all can celebrate later tonight. I'm just playing, y'all. I'm different tonight. But in any event, there was no celebrating anyway. But after Beth unhooked Edge, Edge speared Finn a bunch of times, then gave Dominic a taste of his own medicine when he begged for mercy, and Michael Cole was like, "Your judgment day is here." Michael did a heck of a job last night, for real. In any event, also, Edge was right there. He was about to get it. He was right there. And then Rhea Ripley comes in and knocks out Beth. And then they go for a bunch of coup de grace. And Edge refuses to quit. And just like the last I Quit match, you don't win by beating them down. You win by using the person they love against you. It worked at Hell in a Cell with Roman versus Jay, and it worked in a match with The Rock versus Triple H. And Kane was about to choke slam China, but Triple H quit to save her back in the Attitude Era, and it was that made Edge quit. You couldn't beat Edge into quitting, so you used your wife. And she still went for the concerto. I've never seen women get hit in the skull like that. That's interesting. But man, that match really made us feel. Speaking of making us feel, that match made us feel with anger. What happened in the last match made us feel with joy. So we had the Fight Pit match, and the fans are already chanting, "We want Wyatt." Hold on. But guess what? The Fight Pit match was awesome. Daniel and it's ironic, Daniel is my first name, and both of our initials are DC. My initial is DC also. So, ironically. So, Great fight pit match. The referee Daniel had to put them in check, both of them, and tell them, "You don't fight me, fight your opponent." And boy, did they do it! It was such a UFC vibe. It was a better UFC vibe than what we saw with Angle versus Samoa Joe at Lockdown 2008. But in any event, great match. There was a part that, like Corey Graves, I was a bit startled when Seth Rollins went for the power bomb on the top of the cage, and Corey was like, "I hope things don't get worse." And I was thinking the same thing. They brought their best moves. I love how Seth Rollins paid homage to RVD with the frog splash because they were in Philadelphia. And they will be in Philadelphia at next year's WrestleMania. If you haven't heard already, next year, no, I'm sorry, the year after next, 2024. By that time, MJF will probably be there. But at 2024, WWE's WrestleMania will be going to Philadelphia. So that night, they paid homage to RVD, one of ECW's own. And speaking of ECW, did you guys see the reunion on Impact Wrestling with Bubba Ray, Bully Ray rather, Tommy Dreamer, and Rhino were all a part of that Battle Royal, Royal Rumble like at Impact Wrestling recently. That was awesome. Also, back to the match. After the homage, the match continued. We saw curve stomps. We saw Riddle do an amazing senton from the top of the cage down, and that's what would win the match. We also saw Riddle pay homage to Randy Orton. But what happened after Riddle won that match is what everyone's talking about, and it is the reason why I'm dressed in all dark today. And that was when Bray Wyatt, the White Rabbit, returned. We saw Big Bennis looking guy from Mushroom Head in the crowd. We saw Sister Abigail. We saw Mercy the Buzzard. We saw The Fiend. And then we finally saw the Firefly Funhouse. And don't forget Rambling Rabbit. Rambling Rabbit looks like someone had a baby with Momo. But in any event, that happened. The crowd went nuts. I literally went nuts myself. Bray Wyatt came out with a rabbit mask that looks similar to the band Mushroom Head, and then took off his mask to reveal himself and said, "I'm here." Man, this is about to get good. I'm checking the minutes. This is about to get interesting. Wyatt is back in WWE. Philadelphia went nuts, and so did I. I cannot wait to see what happens next. What did you think about Extreme Rules? I thought it was awesome. And the question I have is, are the people that we saw in the audience, the Rabbit, Big Bennis from Mushroom Head, the Fiend, are those going to be active people with Bray Wyatt? Are we going to see an active alliance? A lot of questions, but I'm excited either way. Can't wait to see what happens. Let me know your thoughts on Extreme Rules as well as this review in the comments below. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and I hope you enjoyed this dark edition of All Things Wrestling with your boy Danny. See you next time.